versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, Worldwide Press Conference. We have a slate of stars and filmmakers with us. Let's introduce them. First is producer Deborah Snyder. Second is star Holly Hunter. Third, star Jesse Eisenberg. Gal Gadot. Star Ben Affleck. Director Zack Snyder. Henry Cavill.
In third.
Come on, everyone, a bit more enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Amy
I
Adams.
know it's early.
Lawrence Fishburne. Diane Lane. And producer Charles Rowe.
Right.
Thank you.
Let's welcome them all.
Oh, I have a microphone. Great.
Greetings, how are you?
That is a Charles.
Zach, we're going to start up here, and then we're going to open it up to the press. You are known as a director who is unafraid of big projects. I remember they said Watchmen was a film that couldn't be made. Was this at all intimidating? What drew you into this?
Weirdly, I think that if we had not evolved the project the way we did, it would have been a little bit more intimidating. If, for instance, someone just come up to me and said, "Hey, do you want to do a movie where Batman fights Superman?" I would have been like, "Yo, okay." He's back a little bit. But because it kind of, it kind of evolved over time. By the time we were shooting, I think it was the first time I realized 100%. Like, I think at the camera test when I was actually looking at Batman and Superman in their costumes that I realized that's gonna happen, huh? So yeah, but amazing and fun and an honor to deal with these icons. So it's great.
Start with questions. We have some. Yes.
Morning. Sorry, losing my voice here. Bruce Kirkland, Toronto Sun Media in Canada. So this is a question leading out of where Zach was just touching upon for both Henry and Ben in regards to having these iconic superheroes, and you've been down this path obviously in Man of Steel, Henry, and Ben, it's new for you, but bringing them into the same world and having an emotional base as well as all of the action in the film. I'm curious what went into working out your own identities and then pitting them against each other.
I'll start. Yeah, I'll start.
An easy one to start.
What went into it? Again, as I always say, it's going to the source material. There's an awful lot of psychology in Superman because it's the one way you can find to crack the shell. And when it comes to playing the character, especially in this movie where we still see the growth of Superman before seeing the finished product of what we know and love from the character in the comic books, it was just delving into the psychology and the weaknesses therein and playing with the relationship between him and Lois and him and Martha, and then of course the conflict he has when facing the likes of Batman.
Yeah, for me, there was really enough material in the screenplay that Chris Terrio wrote, and with Zach's direction, there was plenty for me to grab onto and to help use my imagination to try to build this character. As you were, Scott was just saying, it's certainly daunting because of the people who have played this character before and the great filmmakers. Most recently, obviously, Christian and Chris did 3 brilliant movies, and all the guys who went before them, there's that element of sort of healthy respect you have for the project and for the characters and their history, and it raises the bar, certainly. And I felt that I was in really good hands with this script and with Zach, and so that was where I focused my attention.
Hi guys, to your left, over here, I'm David from Israel. I wonder if you can comment about working with our national pride and joy sitting to your left, Mr. Affleck, Mr. Cavill.
I was a tremendous treat. Yeah. She's the best. No, really.
So far, so good.
But Gal did such a great, amazing job and made all the scenes that I was in with her better, made me better, and she's my favorite part of the movie when she shows up, and I don't give anything away, but she helps me out.
Lots of money to say that.
And she's a terrific actress, and I think Wonder Woman is going to be very good. And I just, this is a lot of fun. I'm excited to keep working with her.
It's tough to sound genuine by just repeating that, but it's true. Gal,
Ditto is a cool answer.
yeah, ditto. Gal cuts a fine figure as Wonder Woman. She brings something particular, something statuesque, something otherworldly to the character, and it's remarkable to see.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey Taylor with Movies.com and Fandango. I've got a question that actually applies to several of you. The question is this: I'm a fan, a big fan, and I deal with a lot of fans who can be sometimes irrational, and sometimes when somebody gets cast.
Wait, what?
Wait, what? Sometimes fans can be a little bit irrational
Oh.
when a casting announcement is made and it's not what they expected. And I'm wondering how you might deal with that when you do hear something like that from fans, either on social media or any other place. And I guess this would apply to
Ben.
Jesse, Gal, Ben, in some ways Amy, and in some ways Lawrence from what I've read.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Everybody
Thank you very
loves
much.
Clearly, this is Superman.
Yeah, I cast Henry first, so then they were like, and then after that they're like, what does he do? He's lost his mind.
Yeah, it's certainly strange and unnerving to be criticized for a part you haven't yet been able to screw up. But you know, I think I probably also would have been surprised had I read that I was playing Lex Luthor without having had access to this wonderful script and this incredible character written by Chris Terrio, who created a character that I thought was suitable for me. You know, if you look at just the canon and the mythology and the history of Superman, I might not be the first person to come to mind, but if you read the script and understood how the character was contextualized in this kind of like modern era and the way he was written, I knew that I could do it well, and I knew that, or at least I hoped that after people had seen the movie, they would understand that I was more appropriate than they had originally feared.
I wish I had heard you say that 2 days ago. I could have just Xeroxed it for all my answers. So very well said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with them as well. Also, I, you can't please them all. And for me, being an actress, my responsibility is not to pay too much attention to all the noise around me, but to pay attention to the script, to the director, that I'm Zach, and protect the character and try to tell her story the best I can, and I can only do my best.
Hi, I'm Jill for the West Australian. I have a question. Tell us so how you got into.
That's a long story.
Did you work out with the
What was the last one? Did I?
You work out
Work
with the
out.
boys.
No. It all began when Warner Brothers wanted to audition me to something. They would not say what. So of course I was intrigued, and I did the audition, and Zach was there, and it was great. And 2 weeks later, they asked me to do a camera test with Ben. I said, "Great. What am I being? What's the role? What's the part?" They said, "Well, my agent told me honestly they would not say a word, but expect a phone call from Zach." Zach called me the same night, and he was saying, "Well, I'm not sure if you have it in Israel, but did you ever hear about Wonder Woman?" I think I went dead for like few good seconds, came back to life, and then I tried to pull off my best voice saying, "Wonder Woman." yeah, of course I've heard of Wonder Woman. And then I did the camera test with Ben, which was great, and Ben is fantastic. And 7 weeks later, it was a torture. I literally went through 7 stages of grief. The first 2 weeks, I felt good about that. I had a good feeling. And then from then on, I started to be angry and to be it was bad. But finally, 7 weeks later, they called to say that I got the part, and that was it. Here we are. Thank you.
I knew right away, so I'm sorry about that.
You could have said something, you know?
Okay. Hi,
kinda
Lindsay
true.
Barr, AP. This is for Zack Snyder and Deborah. How critical is this movie, or can you just talk about the importance of this movie to launching this sort of expanded universe and expanded franchise of DC movies?
Again, I think the thing that's interesting about the process with this movie and sort of the way it's evolved is that, you know, the idea of having Batman fight Superman
Is ridiculous.
it's ridiculous. So that's why we made a movie. Is not only ridiculous, but also once we had committed to that ridiculous idea, it was then only that we were like, okay, so that implies that a universe exists where Batman and Superman exist together, which was a weird. I know it seems like obvious in the comic book world, but had not existed really in the movies. So, though it seems like an obvious notion if you're, just sort of casually like, oh well, Batman and Superman, of course they're both comic book heroes, so yeah, they like down the street from each other, right? Like they bump into each other all the time. That's maybe why they're met. But so once that sort of idea had taken root and existed as reality, it was then only that we were like, well, I am and have been obsessed with the Trinity and really wanted to see the Trinity, that being Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, in a single moment. And that was the thing that I was really interested in trying to get into this movie. Not that I didn't have enough to deal with already, but I thought that would be a cool thing to see. And those conversations are really what led to this Dawn of Justice kind of subheading for the film. And that we could now begin to talk about or have conversations about the fact that the Justice League or the DC universe now could evolve from this. And we had, I feel like frankly we had just, it's a difficult notion, especially at a studio like this that's really filmmaker driven and sort of project to project. It's a difficult notion to say, oh, okay, well, you're making a movie, but it's actually connected to that guy's movie and connected to that guy's movie, and it's all going to be a great, big, fun sandbox, and we're all going to play nice in it, which is a great thing, but it's a difficult thing to just make appear. And I think that's what the luck and sort of serendipitous nature of this movie that's allowed the worlds now to kind of coalesce. And I don't think it became a plan, and it's becoming a thing, but it was only in its infancy that we realized, yeah, oh my gosh, this can be a thing.
Yeah, and at the same time, I think we wanted to set up and introduce these characters, but we also had a really rich story to tell. So it was a careful balance about telling the story, the Batman and Superman story, and giving a little hint and a tease to the story of Justice League that's yet to come.
We have a question on the left here.
Question for Charles. I'm right down here. Can you talk a little about being the overseer of bringing the DC universe to the screen? How hands-on you have to be? Does it make you the Warner Brothers version of Kevin Feige, for example?
Well, I think it's a team of us. The team is obviously Debbie, Zach, myself. Jeff Johns is part of it. The interesting and fun, it's a very interesting challenge, but it's also a lot of fun because even when we were making films that might have sequel possibilities, we never really in the past, even like with The Dark Knight, we never really thought about what exactly is the next movie going to be. In fact, when we went from Batman Begins to The Dark Knight, we didn't even, because we ended the Batman Begins with the Joker, we thought, okay, we'll probably should do the Joker on the next one, but we never really had a story or anything. Here, we're constantly thinking in the future, not only how to make each individual film stand on its own, be compelling, be fun, be thought-provoking, have great characters, but we're also thinking way down the road about how these things are going to interconnect and make sense, and also leave room for other great filmmakers to be involved and to make sure that while we want to get to a certain place, we don't stay too rigid and too fixed on exactly the methodology of how we get there. We have to leave room for the creative process to allow it to evolve. And it's just really exciting and challenging every single day.
Oh, he's hands-on. We're shooting Wonder Woman now. He's hands-on, definitely.
I think wherever you are in the world, because we're making a number of these in different phases, we always have to be, thank God, all I can say for high technology, because you really have to be, you have to stay connected. So if Debbie's in Los Angeles and I'm in London, or Zach's commuting back and forth, or if we're making a film in Toronto, you just have to stay in touch with it through every form of medium that you can. And every day is long, because somewhere, somewhere on some continent, there's a portion of one of the movies that you're working on.
Raz Shechnik from Yediot Achronot Israel.
Let me speak. I'm assuming we exist in the fictitious reality we've set up in Batman v Superman. When you ask me what Clark Kent would ask myself or Ben, and I believe Clark would ask something along the lines of, what do you think the value of Batman is, and what do you think the value of the Superman is? That's a good question.
Clark is very smart.
I didn't even think I had to answer my own excellent question. In the fictitious reality, it's explained very clearly in the movie, and I agree with it.
Nice.
Cliché.
Raz from Israel, Yediot Achronot. Gal, it's a question for Gal. You became, you made history, you became the first Wonder Woman in the movies. Do you often think for yourself, like me, Gal Gadot, from small Rosh Hashanah, from Israel, you made it big? And how was your last week, your crazy week?
He's behind.
It's a huge honor to be the one who got this amazing opportunity to tell such an important story. And I'm sorry, this last week I've been taking many interviews and I'm starting to lose my voice. Sorry. So it's been a great honor to be the one who's going to tell this amazing story. I feel very, very grateful. No, never in my life. I never imagined, I never planned on being an actress. I never planned on being Wonder Woman. Everything happened, and I'm grateful and happy, and I'm in love with what I do. What was the next question? The other one? My last week, or okay. You want me to tell about Rosh Hashanah? Rosh Hashanah is a very small city close to Tel Aviv. The last week was very, very intensive. I was very, very excited about it. I had many talk shows. I reunite with the people that I love, that I've been working on this magnificent movie. I hope you all enjoyed it, by the way. You better. We worked hard. And it's great, and I'm happy to be here. And it's happening, and I'm kind of still in denial. I'm so busy working that I have absolutely no time to sit down and relax and enjoy the ride. I'm enjoying everything, but I think that it'll take me some time until I really understand what's going on.
Holly, you've been quiet over there. What's it like to have a character written into the DC universe? That character was specifically written for you.
Oh, well, I guess that's kind of liberating, in comparison with everybody else on this panel. But it was lovely to kind of have a character who was in the midst of this mayhem of the story and kind of bring some sense and sensibility to the proceedings, and be dealing with a character as combustible as Lex, and especially as Jesse's Lex is, as as volatile and complicated and emotional as he is, it was really a fun ride to take with him and kind of negotiate the waters of staying incredibly open and curious to what his point of view was. And then as knowledge accumulates to arrive at a decision that I felt was rational and reasonable.
Lawrence and Diane, you are a veteran of the superhero genre. Was this a different experience? What's it like to enter a world that big where you're combining that many heroes?
Well, you just don't think the stakes can get higher, and then suddenly you find out they can. I mean, it's definitely thrilling to witness the film and the final product and see my thread in the tapestry and how it reverberates throughout the story. Also, selfishly, it was very lovely to, on both films, be the commencement of this huge production. You know, Martha provides a gentle beginning, I would think, comparative to where we're headed. So it's nice to break in the crew and have the first day of school all together. So.
And Lawrence, what's it like to be an editor? Do you get to take on the press, take us down?
Oh, I don't know anything about that. I just learn my lines and set them. I just, I'm really more of a fan. I'm a comic book reader and a collector and have been since I was a kid. And really, for me, this movie it's a movie I've been waiting to see for 35 years. I can't even believe I'm in the movie.
I believe we have a question here.
Hi, my name is Jamie Broadnax. My outlet is Black Girl Nerds. My readers are very excited that I'm here because I have a website that's about empowering women and women of color. So yes, this question is for Gal. They're like, interview Wonder Woman. So I wanted to ask you, Gal, first of all, did you watch any of the Linda Carter series, Wonder Woman, growing up when you were researching this role? And also, what advice do you have for women out there who are actresses that are interested in doing films that are about comic book superheroines?
Interesting. The first question was, I'm sorry, I'm so jet lagged. No, I was too young to watch the Linda Carter TV show. I was -5. But after they cast me for this role, I did watch a couple of episodes. I think that Linda Carter was a magnificent Wonder Woman, and it's certainly big shoes to fit into. But when they cast me for this movie, Zach and everyone had a very clear vision on who Wonder Woman should be and what's her story and how they want to tell it. And all I had to do is really give my own notes and inputs and just embody everything and be her. And I truly think, I have a 4-year-old daughter, and she adores princesses. At the same time, she would tell me, the princess, she's so weak, she falls asleep, the prince will come and save her and kiss her, and he's the hero. So I'm so happy to be the one who's gonna tell the Wonder Woman story. It's such an important story to tell, and I'm grateful for it. But I also think that it's so important for girls and boys to have a female strong superhero to look up to, and the more the merrier. And there's plenty of room to many more women to come. And I'm very, very happy to be a part of that.
I love that you just said girls and boys. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I believe we have a question in the first row.
Hi, Magali from France. It's a question for Zach. It's kind of a big thing in the movie when Clark and Bruce realize their mother share the same name. Do you think this is something that's going to be appealing to the fans?
In the set, well, it's from the comic books, right? So.
But it's a very important.
Yeah, it
for
is
them
important.
Bonding around
I
that.
mean, yeah, I feel like when we were talking about that whole aspect of the movie and just what is the thing that humanizes Superman for Batman. It seemed really interesting to us to kind of think about it in those terms, you know, in that, you know, he's basically now looking at someone with a mother, you know, and that's different. You know, he becomes different in that moment, you know, and to Batman, you know, the idea that this, what he would consider an alien, what he would consider sort of this otherworldly creature that could care less about humanity, that he could bring himself to a certain emotional place with, that would be normally difficult for Batman even to get to, that he had gotten and whipped himself into enough of a fervor that he had achieved a thing that maybe was even particularly difficult for him. But then to sort of now see that guy, you know, look in a mirror, that was the idea. And fans, I don't know how they'll feel about it.
I'll tell you how fans will feel about it. I forgot that their mothers had the same name. But it's my favorite moment in the movie as a fan, when Batman meets Martha Kent.
There you go.
Sure.
Can I also add one little tidbit of joy? Did I get this wrong? But wasn't my scene the first time we got to experience Ben in his regalia? As
Yeah, it was.
Batman?
It was. That was the very
first. That was the
very
debut
first
moment.
Yeah, it was first day.
That's
One of
right.
the first days.
And it,
Although I discovered Diane in an earlier movie.
Yeah.
Where Superman's mom and I had a different kind of relationship.
Thank you, Ben.
No offense, Henry.
Stop reminding me.
It's a very complex fabric.
Hello, hi. We're from Japan, and first, we'd like to ask, first Zach, why did you cast Tao, in this film? I'm a Japanese actress, Tao,
Tao, yeah.
Tao in the
Yeah.
movie, and also, for Ben and Henry and Jesse, how was it working with Tao? Can you?
The reason I cast Tao was because first we had this character in the script, and really, I had seen Wolverine and thought that she was amazing in the movie, and was like, well, who is that? And she came in, and I met with her, and she did an audition that was amazing, and I just was like, we need to get this woman in the movie if it's possible. And I think since then she was an amazing honor and joy to work with on set, and just cool, and yeah, she's great.
Yeah, I thought she was great and fun and very smart and great actress. We had a good time.
I really didn't get much of a chance to interact. We had one scene which we were in the same room for, because when we shot that scene, I had no interaction with her for the Lex Luthor party, the charity gig. But in Congress, I saw her across the room, and she looked marvelous from across the room.
Oh yeah, I loved working with her. I think we probably make a maybe possibly unintentionally comedic pair. She plays my assistant, although from like an aesthetic perspective, we should probably switch places. And she has a really unusual and great sense of humor, which you wouldn't expect because you wouldn't think that she would need to.
Amy, are you beginning to feel like a Superman veteran? Does this get easier? Do you get used to it? Is there a certain language you need to adopt when you're playing a superhero character, or the love interest of a superhero character?
You never really get used to it. The scale of it's always really impressive, and every time I walk on set, I'm completely blown away. And what has been so nice is getting to know everybody over the course of years, and getting to bring these relationships we've all, established over the course of working together, and then doing stuff like this, and getting to use that in the film, and kind of we grow as the characters grow, and so it's been a real joy to just get to come back, all these lovely folks again, and all of the new ones that I just am absolutely in love with. So, yeah.
She just has to dial up her moxie, I guess.
I have to dial down the moms.
Yeah, that is true.
I believe you have a question here.
Hi, folks. Ed Simkus, Gatehouse Media in Boston. I'm a DC Comics fan from the 1950s, and when I first heard the title of this movie, I said, come on, Superman could beat the tar out of Batman.
Correct.
Correct. Now, Henry and Ben, could you give me your immediate reactions when you first heard the title of this? Did you think it was ridiculous, and how did you come around to accepting it? And also for Zach, was this movie ever going to be called Superman v. Batman?
Who wants to start? You want me to go first? It's funny because, like, honestly, Batman v Superman, for me, from a philosophical, and it's the only way I can think about things, because I'm so philosophical, obviously, is that, I wanted to put the man, like the human, in the God-human relationship first. And, for me, these guys, I don't know if they heard the title before they heard the concept. So, or I hope they did. It'd be cool if they just sent them a letter, just said that on it. Like, you open it, just says Batman vs. Superman. You're like, okay, what is it? Some prank? No, but I have had a lot of questions. It's fun. One of my favorite questions is when someone just says, Batman vs. Superman, how is this possible? Right? Like, this is, and I'm like, well, we made a 2-hour and plus movie that sort of explains Batman versus Superman. Though, and by the way, I think that you're right. The notion is crazy, but at the same time, it is a the road is well established that leads to Batman versus Superman, and they're them being pitted against each other in the comic books is not a thing we made up. It's a trope
The
that
Dark
we all
Knight
accept.
Returns was something that was obviously, had set that precedent before the Frank Miller book. So, having seen that, I was already tuned into what it could be and hoping that was the sort of angle that Zach was taking. And he had the little sculpture up from that in his office, and I thought, this guy's definitely on the right track. I didn't think it was crazy because I had read when I was a kid The Dark Knight Returns, where Frank Miller, did this comic where Superman fought Batman, and it was really original and interesting and turned the genre on its head, and it was a morally gray sort of story and changed the way I saw comic books. So I had been familiar with that idea, for a long time, and when I heard that this was the idea of this movie, I thought that's brilliant because it's one of the great ideas in comics that hasn't been mined yet for films.
I agree with Ben on that one. I knew the comic book, especially the Frank Miller one, and also the relationship in the comic books between Batman and Superman. And the idea was nothing but exciting because we're opening up the cinematic universe for all of DC.
I believe we have a question in the front row.
Steve from Collider. There's a question actually for everyone. I'm curious if you guys have a day or two or a sequence from the film that you'll always remember, when you think back on the making of the film.
I think I shared mine as far as the reveal of Batman and Ben in the role and how fabulous he is. So that's the new information.
It was a very unnerving day. It's true. The first day wearing the suit and being on camera, you think, well, here it is. I'm really doing this. And it was very nice to have Diane there, friendly face and a great actress. And she kind of looked at me like, yeah, it's going to be okay. And I appreciated that, Diane, if I haven't told you before.
For me, it's tough to say while shooting because I was in a green room at the time, but certainly I feel like I felt it after having watched the movie, but the third act, for me in particular, resonated. And it was probably, while watching the movie, where I felt the most and got to step outside of the actor and was part of the audience.
I'm going to go with the bathtub scene. I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
that
just
too,
kidding.
sorry.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Trying to lighten it up. No, that was actually horrible. Just trying to protect my modesty in unflattering garments while the demigod stood above me with his shirt off. I was like low self-esteem for 2 weeks after that. But It's so
You look
true.
fine in it.
It's true. I really was like, I'm hideous.
Please.
Anyway.
She's not.
Uh,
And wasn't.
It was actually there's a lot of great. I had so much fun on this film, and I love working with Henry so much, and really getting to come back to that relationship in a richer way was really awesome. But there's a moment in the third act with Diane actually that became one of my favorite moments. Just a quiet moment between two women. Just like as an actress, I like quiet moments.
Over here, Sandra Varner syndicated this right back here. This movie, Batman and Superman have dual roles: regular people, superheroes, and it's a debate between power versus will. Do you think that your characters are more willful than powerful? And when you have to lose yourself into these huge characters, what helps you get there faster? Your little boy hero complex or your adult male hero complex?
Need a sofa for that one.
I have too many complexes to sort through. I just pick any of them will do, really. You know, it's definitely. I think you're onto something when you talk about like the will versus strength. The Batman, I think one of the reasons why this character has resonated since the FDR administration with audiences, regardless of the way the country's changed and pop culture has changed, it's because you have a guy who, on the one hand, is powerful and exciting and can do things that we all wish we could do, but he's also still a human being, and struggling with his own vulnerabilities and fragilities, and struggling with his own will. And he's a kind of accomplishes things by force of will, I think, Batman. And that was fun and exciting to play. And yeah, it's definitely. But I think I tapped into equal measure my adult geekness and kid excitement for this movie. There's. As you can just see from this, from this room, there's so much. Every day there was something new to kind of geek out about and be excited by and be like, I can't believe I get to be in this movie. It was exciting every day.